Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the SKNIS Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
I'm Ian Richards. Welcome to InFocus, a weekly program where we zoom in on what's happening within and throughout the government, your government. The Public Works Department plays a pivotal role in the government's strategy to build pathways to sustainability. Contained within the department is a dynamic mix of physical assets, policy advisors, best practices, and dedicated personnel who are charged with providing and maintaining government structures. We shine the spotlight on the Public Works Department today as they celebrate Public Works Week. In studio with me is George Gilbert, Director of the Public Works Department. Mr. Gilbert will share a bit on ongoing capital projects, the impact of environmental changes, and efforts to professionalize the staff. Stay with us as we delve into your government, your business. Welcome back to InFocus, and we begin our discussion with Director of Public Works, Mr. George Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert, welcome back to InFocus. You were here last year, of course. It's always a pleasure to greet you.
Thank you very much, and I'm feeling pleased this afternoon to be a part of this program.
Right. So we want to start with something that is very vague, so to speak, and that is the term public works, because in St. Kitts and Nevis, we refer to public works, we refer to the department as public works. But public works has a much larger meaning. Tell us what public works means.
Okay, public works refers to a broad category of infrastructure projects that are financed by the government and managed by the government. These projects are for the public benefit. Example, government buildings, schools, hospitals, community centers, roads, bridges, to name a few.
Okay. And what is the primary role of the Public Works Department now?
The primary role of Public Works Department is to enhance the quality of life for communities by providing essential infrastructure services. These services include construction, maintenance of roads, bridges, and public buildings, etc.
There are a number of divisions, Mr. Gilbert, that fall under the Public Works Department. Tell us a bit about each of them, because I'm not sure how many persons are aware of them.
Okay, in Public Works, we have about about 7 divisions in Public Works. Public Works is a department of the Ministry of Infrastructure, and within that department, you have about 7 divisions. We have the Roads Division, which, takes care of the maintenance and management of roads and bridges. Then we have the Quarry Division, which actually mine the rocks and responsible for selling of the rocks. So most of the aggregates sold in the country, used in the construction industry, government, public work provides that. And without aggregate, there is no construction industry. Without no construction industry, there is no growth in a country.
Mm-hmm. Break down what aggregates are for those who may not be aware.
Aggregates are what you call stones.
Okay.
So stones are in different grades. You have the half-inch, which is used for the concrete. Mm-hmm. You have 3/4 inch, which is used for the road. We have larger rocks, we call them rock armor, which are used for city fence work. Which
So that would be like an old road bay?
That's correct,
right,
an old road
okay.
bay, that's correct. Then we have the vehicle maintenance division, which actually we are in the property which was once belongs to the factory service center. That's where we do the mechanic. We service most of government vehicles, and we actually maintain, we give advice as we go along. We have the FMD, Facilities Maintenance Division. This division is the one with charge with the responsibility of maintaining the government buildings. Then we have an electrical unit in public work. With this electrical unit in public work, after you complete, when you want to build a new structure, you will apply to SKNIS for temporary electricity for the property. Then now, when you complete the structure and you're ready for the permanent electricity, your meter to be transferred to the fence or to your wall, to your property, then before SKNIS goes in and actually install the meter, they will actually send the form to Public Works. Public Works will go around and actually do an inspection, check all of the boxes and make sure it's up to the voltage, etc. And then they will give the approval back to SKNIS, then SKNIS will make the connection to your property. That is how you will get your connection. So without Public Works getting involved, you will not get permanent electricity to your property. Then we have the Project Services Division. That's the division which actually provides drawings, bill of quantities, estimates, conduct the tendering process, manage the government projects. Then we have the administration, which actually complements all of these departments with the paperwork, the calling from one ministry to another, calling from one department to another, ensuring that things are done and things are in place.
Okay. So, as we mentioned in terms of the projects and the role that Public Works has to play in approving and developing government projects as well too, tell us a bit about what type of factors are taken into place. What responsibility is it of Public Works when the government say, for instance, I wish to build a new school? Where does the Public Work engage? What takes place there?
That's a very good question. Now, if a ministry wants to undertake a project, they will actually first come up with what is known as client's brief. They must know what they want. We need a school to accommodate X amount of students. We need, in that school, we need an office for the headmaster, we need a guidance counseling office, we need staff room, we need bathrooms, we need bathroom for teachers, we need bathroom for students, and we just designed a school recently. They said in the kindergarten, they need a bathroom facility for those kindergarten students. So the ministry will give us the terms of reference, exactly what they are looking for. Then we will take that terms of reference and we will develop a concept drawing. We'll go back to them, have a discussion with them. They might make changes here and they will make the change, we'll have a discussion. And then when we agree on the design, then we will go into working drawings. Then after the working drawings, we'll actually prepare bill of quantities, which one might call estimates, and then we prepare a tender document with the specification, and then we will go to a tender to the public.
So just to be clear, the estimates are what the cost of materials, etc., is likely to be?
That's correct, that's
right.
correct.
Okay.
So what we will do, we'll develop the costing, we'll actually share it with the ministry. The ministry will actually have a discussion with the Ministry of Finance to know whether or not we can undertake the project as wholesale, and then from that, they will inform us, and we will actually start the tendering process, trying to get contractors to bid for the job.
Okay. So explain to us how the tendering project works now, because of course, it's not about finding a company per se, as in you choose to say, I want Ian Richards' construction company to do it. Everyone must be given a fair chance, and that is where tendering comes in.
Yes. With the government, remember that we are taxpayers. So all of us are taxpayers. So then, as a result, everyone must be given an opportunity to this project. So what will happen is that if a project is $27,000 and less, the line ministry can deal with that project. If it is a construction-related project, which is over 27,000, but under 400,000, then it must come to Public Works. what Public Works will do, go through the same process of developing the documentation, and then Public Works, according to the Act, Public Works will invite a minimum of 3 bidders, capable bidders, to actually bid on this project. If it is over if it is 400,000 and more, then it has to go to public tender. It means that it has to be advertised in the newspaper for 6 weeks. It has to be on the Ministry of Finance website, Public Works website, SKNIS website, etc., etc., so that the general public can see it and know that we are tendering this project, and then they can actually bid as a qualified contractor, bid for this job.
You mentioned that $400,000 attract a public tender,
Yes.
and anything below would be 3 companies invited. How are those companies chosen?
According to the Act again, the Act states that the procurement officer for works, which is the director of public work, shall invite 3 bidders to bid on those projects. So what the director of public works normally would do is that, as I said, this might be an educational project. It might be a project within a community, and you might have guys in the community who might give support to the school, who are contractors. These are some of the guys we will try to earmark who are capable and give them an opportunity to bid on this project. But when it comes to 400 and more now, then it has to go publicly.
So that is where you would say being a good corporate citizen pays off, because
Yes, correct.
if you are accustomed to support a school or any sort of community organization, and there is work to be done, of course, once it is below the figure that you mentioned, the number, $400,000, here's where you can now get back a return, so to speak, on the private investments that you've made.
Correct.
Okay. And so in developing the projects, as we continue, let us say a school, what environmental assessments are done? Before we start developing the drawings in detail, we actually consider the location of the site. For example, you mentioned school, but let me move away from the school and give you something which is live. We are actually constructing the traffic department at Ponds. Now, where it is located, the Ponds was a pond at one time, but it turned out to be a landfill, and then it built up land. And as such, we had to actually be careful with the soil type below there. So that's an environmental factor. In addition to that, too, the water table is very high in those areas too. So we have to consider what type of sewage system we are going to implement in those areas there. Because in the ponds area, from experience, the people complain that the septic actually have to clean the septic regularly, like maybe sometimes twice per year, which shouldn't be normal. But because of the water table, you tend to have intrusion inside there. So we take these factors into consideration when developing this project. The intrusion in the water within the septic tank, that in no way puts the general safety of water at risk that persons use? Not at all, no. Okay. And so that would be a part of the environmental concerns that you will factor in for sites that are already established. As you mentioned, the traffic department, the area is already built up. But what about those that are not established? Where, if, for instance, the new hospital that is being built, the new smart hospital, what environmental factors would you look at? They would have to look at maybe the soil type. They would have to look at the climate change. What material to incorporate into the project so that at least they don't deteriorate quickly. In addition to that too, the sea spray. This is very close to the sea, and you have high sea blast in those areas. So the materials you incorporated into the works must be such that it can withstand the sea blast from the area. Is that recommendation across the board? Is it change the way now that Public Works does business essentially? Because of course climate change, last week we had persons from NEMA and the Red Cross here, and there was a discussion about the extreme heat, and it's beginning to cause their storage, whether it be food supplies or blankets or whatever, that they're causing them to deteriorate faster. And so of course, it also means with the extreme heat that there's possibility that the hurricane season will be even more intense and hurricanes more frequent. So does Public Works take into account the environmental changes in terms of the weather and try to factor that into new projects that have been undertaken?
Yes, we do. We are right now in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They're supposed to build headquarters, and they actually told us that they want a green building, but they went as far as to get us a specialist, a green building architect who will be working with us to develop the plans. So we are taking it on board. So there will be some learning and training at the same time where that is concerned.
Any new measures to perhaps strengthen walls, again, as we mentioned, the intense hurricanes, or to enhance ventilation or anything like that that will be factored in?
Yes, when it comes to the walls, we realize that most of the time we use air conditioning in the buildings we have around us. But what we try to do, we try to buy air conditioning units. We try to recommend air conditioning units which are of which are more climate smart air conditioning units.
So energy efficient as well.
Energy efficient, that's the word. That's the word I was looking for.
Right. Okay. And as we talk about, adjusting buildings from an environmental standpoint, of course, sustainability also speaks to equity and equality. Now, of course, the government has pledged to make changes in the building code and implement rules promoting accessibility for persons who have disabilities. What is Public Works doing in that respect?
The government, one of the ministries within the government now is aging and disability. Now, the thrust is to ensure that all public buildings going forward must be accessible by people of elderly and people in a wheelchair, etc. Now, in doing so, we actually ensure that we build with ramps. We make provision for lifts to take you from one floor to the next. For example, as I said, we did designs recently on the Joshua Bidaya Molyneux School, and we actually made provision for a lift to go into the building. In addition to that, in the Connery Pavilion, provision had been made for one with a wheelchair to be able to access the seating areas right at the top to enjoy the same game like anybody else. They can go to the bar like anybody else. They can go to the bathroom like anybody else. And there is no exception. There is no discrimination. They can go to the bathroom like anybody else. So all of that we are taking into consideration to ensure that everybody is taken care of.
Right. And in the past, there's been a tendency where persons would just put down a slab of concrete on a slope. There's no accounting for angles, which of course, if there's a ramp there and a person who is a wheelchair user cannot use it, then it really doesn't make much sense because you'd still need assistance to get up the ramp. Has Public Works taken those angles into account? Will those things be seen going forward?
Yes, what we do is that there is some calculations being done as to what angle ramp should be at to ensure that it's not too steep, so that at least you make a ramp and you still cannot use it. So there are times you have to make it winding so as it's not that steep.
And the proper width, of course, as well.
Width, of course, is important.
Right. Okay. So as we talk about the Public Works and the service in the government, is there a relationship with the private sector outside of offering opportunities to construct?
Yes, there's a relationship between Public Works and the private sector, in that there's a collaboration where we actually get consultants from the private sector to perform roles in Public Works. In addition to that, whenever we are building any major infrastructure project, for example, a major road, a major, let's say, a community center, a sporting complex, we actually have town hall meetings to appraise the residents and what we are going to do, get feedback from them. The same thing with Joshua Bidaya. We had a town hall meeting with the Ministry of Education a few weeks ago to appraise the school of what we intend to do, how we intend to go about doing it, and we actually showed them some drawings so they are part of the whole process, they understand what is going on. And one of their concerns is that not enough information flowing. So we endeavor to share information with them. They said what we can do is to give the information to the head teacher who will disseminate the information. They said we can use social media to disseminate the information so that at least they can know where we are, what is happening. So we collaborate with the private sector and the communities to achieve the projects which we want. Because you must realize that they are living in the community and they know things which we wouldn't know. For example, if we are doing a road, we actually have a town hall meeting. When we were doing the Island Main Road, we had a series of town hall meetings throughout the island, let them know what we intend to do, put pictures on the wall to show them what we intend to do, and they will share their ideas, say, that area, accustomed to flood. It don't flood regularly, but it's an area you have to look out for. So now we might have to go back to the drawing board, redesign it so to prevent flooding in those areas. So the public is very important to us, and we always try to take them on board as much as possible.
Right.
We try to do that earlier clock in the life of the project before we get into the deep design and execution.
Because I recall an engagement in Connery at the community center about the very same Connery Pavilion, and they were the local knowledge really came into play. They would talk about the sun, how the sun should be positioned. They would talk about where might be best because the community has a preference for this way, and so I could really see that is at work, and that's welcome, of course, by Public Works.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, Mr. Gilbert, as we speak about the Joshua Obadiah Williams School and as we speak about the Connery Pavilion that is being built, there are so many capital projects taking place, and we want to delve a bit more into that. But before we get there, we're going to take our first break.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more In Focus. Welcome back to In Focus. We continue our discussion with George Gilbert, Director of the Public Works Department here in St. Kitts. Now, Mr. Gilbert, of course, as we established before we took a break, there are a number of capital projects taking place, and I think persons who are watching or viewing us either online or on ZIZ TV would have recognized that the St. Peter's roundabout, or the St. Peter's main road, excuse me, is the first thing that they would have seen. And that is a project that is, of course, of great concern to persons. St. Peter's is the largest growing community within St. Kitts at this time, and so access to that area is extremely critical. Tell us what's being done on that road.
With that road, what we are doing is that we are rehabilitating the road. We are using the same basic thoroughfare, but we're actually removing the base, sub-base, and the asphalt material, and we're actually going to put down a new base, new sub-base, new overlay, the asphalt, sidewalk where possible, guardrails in certain critical areas, cat eyes in the road, road marking, road signs, etc. Now, we are also developing drains in the area. The purpose of those drains we are developing is that asphalt and water are not friends. If water stays too long on the asphalt, it's going to deteriorate the asphalt quickly. So we have to try to get the water off of the asphalt quickly as possible and get it into a safe place and discharge somewhere. So what we are doing right now, we are developing the drains, and then we will actually overlay right up to the drain now, which where the water can run off of the road into the drain. If the water cannot go off into the drain, it's going to stay on the road and it's going to deteriorate the road. When we were doing the Island Main Road, what we did, we get a series of small contractors to go through and do the drains, and then the main contractor actually came through after and did the main section, which is the black tar section.
I think it was a surprise to many persons to recognize that sidewalks were being included as well. So it's been long a community where persons have been forced to walk on the side of the road. They didn't have that safety or protection offered by sidewalks. So it's important to get them there.
Yes, that's correct. So we part of the scope of work is to actually put concrete sidewalks in place. So there will be sidewalk from, you could say, the Anglican Church area there, right up to the school. Right up to the school, there will be sidewalk. So these children can walk from a Carifesta area straight to the school without going in the road. In addition to that, too, you have persons coming to church, Anglican church, from in the community. They can use the sidewalk to come down to. So that's a plus and an enhancement for the community of St. Peter's.
Now, there's also a roundabout that is included in the design. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, there is a new roundabout which will be incorporated into the whole design, which will be by the Anglican Church area there, the Carifesta village, right there. There will be a roundabout in that vicinity. So normally you will come down from the ATM, and then you take a right and go around the corner and go down by the mango tree. You will have a roundabout there which will control the traffic somewhat.
Is the project on schedule? How is that going in terms of the timelines that have established?
The project is going, but it is a little behind schedule. So what we have to do now is to work with the contractor and see what activities we can do simultaneously to actually get it back on schedule.
Okay.
That's a discussion to be had with the contractor,
right,
and the consultant, of course.
Now, of course, as we mentioned, St. Peter's is the main road project that Public Works is undertaking currently. But there's also some other projects taking place around the island, some road projects.
Okay. St. Peter's is the main road project which is taking place. But then we have a number of other road projects which we intend to roll out shortly. We have racecourse in Newton Ground. We have White House Gardens. We have Shadwell. We have Palmetto Point. And we have a series of projects which we intend to roll out. Over something like $20 million worth of projects we have to roll out between the next few months. We'll be rolling out these projects.
I see that Boyd's View, the Trinity.
View will be a part of
right.
it.
Well, you mentioned Palmetto and Shadwell East as well, Shadwell East and West. And there's also Rollins, which is in St. Paul's.
Rollins in St. Paul's, yes.
Right. And so you said that you're preparing to roll out. Where are we in terms of the implementation?
We have the contracts. The contracts are being reviewed for at least 4, and we are ready to sign those 4. Those 4 will be signed by between now and Monday, and then the contractor will have 7 days to mobilize. So after they sign Monday, then the contractor has 7 days from then to organize himself, and then he will actually move into the execution of the project. After he put the preliminaries in place, for example, he has to make sure he puts insurance in place before he goes into the ground, etc., etc.
So barring any unforeseen difficulties such as weather or whatever financial hiccups may occur with the contractor, in the next 2 weeks we should see these projects being rolled out?
In the next 2 weeks we should see, yes, the project rolling out.
Okay. So now better roads also means safer roads, of course, for passengers and for persons who drive on the roads, which is very important. But unfortunately some persons may see it as a means for them to speed, to take a bit faster driving, so to speak. And the traffic department, of course, is responsible for maintaining and enforcing the speed limits and other traffic laws. And you mentioned earlier, of course, that there's a new traffic department being built in Ponds area. Tell us a bit about that.
The traffic currently is at
St. Johnson's
Village,
right,
and it has outgrown its size there. The activities have outgrown the size. In addition to that, the building is old and dilapidated, and as such, measures have been put in place for them to get a new home. The site was located in the training school compound. It's a 2-floor building, 2-story building. So the traffic will be moving to the location. Now the project has commenced. It went out to tender. Tenders returned, were evaluated, went to the tender board, procurement board. Contractor has been awarded the contract. The contractor is on site since January, and the construction is moving steadily as we speak.
It's estimated to be completed sometime, I think it's by April next year?
By April next year, somewhere there.
But work has been seemingly, I think work might be progressing a bit further. I recognize that the second structure was added recently. We went there, it was at the end of April, and it was just a 1-story structure. The second has already been added.
Correct. So the contractor is moving relatively fast with it, which we encourage and we promote, and we expect him to continue in that vein and finish the project in time.
Now, of course, the traffic department, the new traffic department, as you mentioned, is located on the compound where the police training complex is located. Right next door is the fire department, and there's been some issues with the building there. Tell us a bit about what's happening.
The fire station, the fire officers have complained to Public Works, have written to Public Works that they are experiencing cracks in the building, cracks in the walls, cracks in the beam, cracks in the roof. So Public Works went and did some preliminary investigation. Then Public Works actually followed the procurement process and actually invited 3 competent structural engineering firms to actually give us a quote for undertaking a thorough structural evaluation. 1 company responded, and we awarded 1 company the contract to undertake the structural evaluation. The conclusion and recommendation is that the structure has failed, and as such, the recommendation that it should be the residence should be removed and the building be demolished. So the residents have removed, but the building will be demolished at a later date.
Okay, so there is no timeline set for that as yet?
I don't know. That's maybe some other level. But it hasn't come to Public Works as to when they're ready for it to be demolished as yet.
Now, from what I understand, of course, there is this issues in terms of the leaking and stuff. There may have been, the primary reason would have been the issue with the roofing in terms of a concrete roof that was done. And essentially, I think it highlights the need for Public Works to really be engaged before any contract or any sort of work is undertaken, because, you know, the department is filled with specialists and persons who are competent and experienced, and really and truly that is the proper thing to do in terms of any government projects. It should really come through the Public Works Department. Right. Okay, so Mr. Gilbert, we move on from the fire department there, and we also go next to, let's say, the MRI building that is being done at the hospital. It's at the back of the Joseph N. France General Hospital. Tell us about that.
With the MRI building, that project, the government actually decided that the MRI building would be at JNF. In addition to that, we actually were afforded a consultant to work with us with the designs. So every other week, we actually came up with a design. They came up with a preliminary, sent it to us. We actually drew it, and we had a Zoom meetings. They made adjustment to it, and it was ongoing. Now we agreed on the design. The Public will develop the drawings. Now the site was chosen by the specialist from the MRI company. The reason why it was chosen to the back there is because of the radiation from the cable antenna. They want to push it as far as possible. And in the front of the hospital now, you have some antennas again belongs to, I think those belongs to cable. Mm-hmm. So to avoid that, they actually push it in the far corner to prevent the interference from radioactive waves.
And the progress of the construction of that building?
With that building, now, because of the location, it's in the hill, right in the extreme hillside. And it means that not just going in and start to excavate and start putting down a building. We have to actually make provision for a retaining wall to retain the soil before the building. So that's what the contractor started working on, and then now he starts actually undertaking the foundation for the building itself. So we are getting there. We are getting there.
Okay. Now, also, as we speak about buildings, there is a building that already exists, and that would be the National Security Training Facility at Limekiln. Most persons would recognize it's right next to NEMA. It's been there for quite a while. It's been there for quite a while, and the Prime Minister has made a commitment that that is one of the projects that needs to be restarted with some urgency. Where do we stand there?
We agree that it has been like that stage for a number of years, and Public Works was commissioned to take it over. So we had no choice but to take it over. So what we did, we actually went to the evaluation of the property, and we actually added it to our general activities. We put a terms of reference together. We actually send it out to tender, and we now have a consultant working with us with the redesigning of the internal spaces, the electrical, the other services. The drawings are completed. We have the drawings within Public Works. We are reviewing the drawings from the consultant. The bill of quantities should be coming to Public Works shortly, where we will review them again as a team, then review the tender documents, and then we have it going out to tender. So very shortly, maybe in the next 2 months or so, that building, that project should be out for tender.
Certainly, we encourage contractors to keep their aid tuned so that they will be able to capitalize on the opportunity.
Correct. It's a major project, and encourage contractors, especially those who are considered to be the large contractors, to participate in the process and wish them well in the process.
Now, earlier referred to, of course, the pavilion being done at the Connery playing field as well. Tell us a bit about that.
There is a pavilion being constructed on the football field of the Connery. As you said, there was some negotiation, consultation, collaboration with the community as to where it should be located, and they went as far as to say what they expect to be inside of it too. They had a wish list really, so we had to streamline the wish list to make it a real list, and we designed based on the needs of the community and football in general. So that project again is on schedule. It is out of the foundation. The floor slab has been cast, walls are up, part of the steel frame is in place, and the building is progressing. We were there, some member of staff from Public Works were there this morning to see the progress.
And you were pleased with what you saw?
Yes, I was pleased with what I saw, with what the contractor is doing. We met with him, we spoke with him, and he understands the process, and he is pushing along quite steadily.
There's also supposed to be Mr. Gilbert, and I'm running through the list because there's a lot of them. We won't be able to get to all of them, but I think some of the ones that are more important to persons. There's a construction of a drug council building as well.
Yes, the drug council building is a new building. It will be at Pine Gardens. So we have completed the designs, we have completed the bill of quantities. When I say we, Public Works, have completed the bill of quantities, have completed the tender document, have gone out to tender. The documents are out there now for tender. So anyone who are interested, you can actually come to Public Works. We'll go through what it is and make a document available, of course at a cost.
Now, quite a number of rehabilitation projects are also taking place, because those that we just mentioned, essentially outside of the training school, where there were new projects that were taking place. But there are rehabilitation projects taking place. Earlier you referred to Joshua Obadiah Williams. We should probably start there. What's the status there?
Joshua Obadiah Williams project, that project, after the school got burnt down, Public Works went in after we got the clear from the police. It was a police site after it got burnt. And we got burnt on a weekend. We went in, we tried to go in the Monday. They told us, no, it's a police site, we cannot go in. And they told us they're going to inform us as soon as they complete the investigation. Then they actually did call, and they told us we can now go in. We went in, we did an evaluation. Our Public Works decision was to just renovate the building as is. But then after we met with the Ministry of Education and the stakeholders for the school, shortly after, they told us that that's not what they are looking for. It's one of the oldest primary schools on the island, and it doesn't meet the requirement of a primary school today. So they want to take the opportunity to upgrade the school. Now they ask that there be a staff room, an auditorium, because Mullen, you don't have a community center. And every social activity, major social activity, will be done in the school, in the hall. So they have to push back the partitions and use the central area there. So every time these children come to school, it's an inconvenience. If there is let's assume that one goes there to have an open session with the children, you push back the partition, you might have been there for just an hour. After the hour, the children have to pull back the partition, rearrange classroom, and maybe miss the whole morning because of 1 hour you would have spent there. So they asked that an auditorium be built. There's a conference room within the school compound. There are new bathroom facilities to accommodate this number of students. Now there's an existing bathroom which is on the outside, an outhouse. So whenever there's heavy rain, the children cannot go outside there to use the bathroom. So they ask that the area be covered so that they can go to the bathroom whether it is raining or not. We actually incorporated that into it. They have asked for a number of amenities which we actually try to incorporate inside the building. We have made provision for a lift in the building too, in the whole compound. Now with this project, it's a major project. It will be a major project. So what we have done this time around, we have divided the building, the project into 3 sub-projects, which make it more manageable for a contractor to actually tender on, and with his risk being much lower.
Because it went to tender before, but the response was not exactly what the ministry had hoped for and the Public Works Department.
Okay, yes, it went to tender. 4 persons bid, 4 persons collected the documents, and only 2 returned the documents. Now, the 2 which returned the documents, the bids were what we consider unresponsive, not disqualified, unresponsive. Unresponsive means that we asked for certain things, certain requirements were required in the tender document, and they were not forthcoming. So as a result, we didn't feel that they were satisfied so that we can award them a contract. For example, we asked question about a performance bond. What is a performance bond? A performance bond is a certificate from a reputable insurance company or a bank which is given to the client, which would be the government, stating that 20% of the contract sum, they agree to pay back the government if the contractor cannot perform the work. Now, when you ask the question, if you are given this job, show us that you will be able to provide us with a performance bond. When you provide nothing, it means that we are not guaranteed that you have the backing of an institution. So in the event that you fail, the government don't left open. We go further. When you sign the contract, you get a mobilization of 10% of the contract sum. So for example, let's assume that the project is a $10 million project. You get $1 million in your hand. Now the government can't just give you $1 million in your hand without holding on to something. The bank won't do that. The bank wants your land paper and other things to hold on to. So we ask you for the performance bond, which is 20%. And then from that, we can mobilize you, we can get you going. In addition to that, we want to know if you can get credit from the local suppliers, like you can get concrete and other material. So we expect you to go to the local suppliers and bring a letter from them to say that they'll be willing to give you credit of X value. What we got wasn't substantial to say that they will get an adequate. Some letters was open, basically say, well, contractor A has been a client of ours for X amount of years. Any courtesy could be given to him will be greatly appreciated. You know, we didn't say that you are willing to give him any percentage, and we specifically asked in the document, tell us that you can provide from the local supplier. You can get material from the local supplier up to a value of X. And now these open letters which didn't give you any guarantee. Now we can actually just hand you a project which you gave us no guarantee. So these are what you call a non-responsive, as opposed to disqualified. They were not disqualified, just that they didn't give you enough information to satisfy you that they are in a financial or a position that they can do the project.
Okay, so that would explain the delay in the project in terms of getting it started. Right, and so, as you mentioned earlier, the suggestion then is to break it down into much smaller batches so that you can get it going.
Yes, so that at least you now can bid on a 1 block, or you can bid on 2, you can bid on the 3 blocks, so then it means that your risks will be smaller, your performance bond will be smaller, your insurance will be smaller, you know what I mean? So then you realize you now might be able to manage that aspect, as opposed to manage such a big school.
And hopefully persons will again take advantage of the opportunities and recommit. But those who were, the 2 that were successful, in terms of the initial stages, those that were considered unresponsive, you said that they were not disqualified. So they will have the opportunity to build on the blocks
they can
as well.
build again. They can bid again on the project. They were not disqualified.
Right.
Just that what you provided wasn't sufficient, so you can actually take a second chance. Like an exam. You did an exam and you fail, and now you can do redo the exam. Yes.
Right. Okay.
So just pay your money again and do the exam. Yes.
Right. Moving very quickly also, still on the topic of rehabilitation, is the Charles E. Mills Secondary School in Sandy Point.
Okay, with Charles E. Mills Secondary School, we are doing electrical upgrade in Sandy Point. Sandy Point has a series of electrical fires. And every time they have electrical fires, they call Public Works, and we try to hustle down there because fire we take seriously. And what we realized that we had a number of supply came into the building from different areas. So one block might feed from, let's say, the right side of the road, and next area might feed from the left side, and they just overlap each other, and it created some uneasiness and fires. So we actually take out all the electrics and start afresh, upgrading the electric. The public might not know this because all of the work, most of the work is done in the evening after school, and the contractor has to clean up, leave the school in a readiness for work again. Now on the weekend now, the contractor will go in Friday evening, work in the evening, Saturdays and Sunday, clean up, school goes in, and they work as usual. So the public don't know that we are working on that. And even the engineers at Public Work have to go down there during the evening to see the contractor at work.
Mm-hmm. And of course, that's a bit unusual for contractors to be working at night here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Right, so it shows the dedication of the contractor, and as well as the commitment of the government to solve the problem as well. Because you can't displace the children, the school must continue their education. Is important, but the work has to be done.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Timeline for when that should be completed?
I think, I can't give you the timeline from the top of my head, but what happened is that he had ordered the transformer out of, I think it's England, so the transformer, they're making the transformer to send the transformer. But in the meanwhile, they have electricity supply at the school. But the upgrade is going ahead as we speak. Okay,
and the final project that I'll ask you about now, as I mentioned, it's quite a lot, but this one, of course, also, again, is great public concern, the Phillips Slope.
Phillips Slope. At Phillips, every time you have heavy rainfall, you have landslide in two particular areas, on the main road up to Phillips and between the estate road going to Mulfield. Now, the government has asked that we address this situation. So we actually got a consultant in. We actually designed a project for it where we're going to use gabion baskets, some wire mesh basket with stones, and we're actually putting it into the hillside.
So that would be like the roundabout when you're coming in the camps area?
Yeah, correct. Right down in that roundabout, F.T. Williams West, right, to go through the tunnel there, just after the tunnel, right inside there, before the tunnel and after the tunnel. Yes, the same principle. What happened, the contractor, is a project which has been long outstanding. The contractor actually bought the gabion baskets from a company. The company shipped the gabion baskets, and then when they came, we realized what the wrong gabion basket. When the contractor tried to reach out to the company no longer exists. So the contractor has to now go and reorder new gabion basket at his own expense and start the process all over again. He got the gabion basket in June, and we had a town hall meeting with the residents of Phillips, and we actually told them why we have this delay, and we are ready to start. We have commenced the work in the Phillips area. Public Works' decision was to start on the long stretch, which was the major part, but the residents, when they went to the town hall meeting, they said, no, we prefer you to start on the estate road. That area there is the most challenging area, and we actually listened to them. So we changed the schedule, and we start working in that area there. So we listen to the communities. The communities are part of Public Works.
Relief should be coming soon.
Yes.
All right. Also, Mr. Gilbert, we'll take our final break. As we mentioned, of course, there is this Public Works Week, and there are a number of activities that are taking place. I would like to give you an opportunity to speak to that, but before we do that, we'll take our break. Stay with us as we will be back for more In Focus.
If you haven't done it as yet, Please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Welcome back to InFocus, and we're speaking to Mr. George Gilbert, the Director of the Public Works Department, on quite a number of capital projects and other activities taking place here in St. Kitts. But it's time to talk about Public Works Week, which is being celebrated this week here in St. Kitts. Mr. Gilbert, now Public Works Week, the theme is advancing the quality of life for all. Tell us a bit about the significance of that theme and what it means to you personally as someone who's been in public works for the past 20 years.
Thank you very much again. The theme, advancing the quality of life for all. And we are going to look at it from a public work perspective. In that, the theme highlights how public work contributes to the well-being of our communities. No matter where you live or your background, public work is there ready to reach out to you. I go further to tell you that we silently serve the communities by maintaining infrastructure such as roads, bridges, government buildings. I can even go further to tell you, I could recall that in Lodge Village around the Gut, it's an area where you have several accidents. Many accidents happen there yearly. And the walls were threatened. And even the police said to us, I don't know how you're going to get it done because the traffic is very fast in this area here. Public Works actually came together. We tried to see how we can get it done. Cannot find a slot to put it in. But thanks to COVID, COVID was not just a bad thing, you know. Thanks to COVID, during COVID, we took the opportunity. We got permission from the police, and we went in and we tried to fix the wall during that period, the lockdown period. It went as far as even the guys who were working there, there was no water because the shops were all closed. Couldn't buy a drink in a shop, couldn't buy a bread in a shop. There was nothing available to buy. So then the people in the community, I tell you, community involvement again, came on board and actually made water available, actually gave them little coconut water to drink, etc., etc. And during the time when they were working there, we had 3 accidents in one day in that very same area during the COVID lockdown period.
Even though traffic wasn't really on the road?
Even though traffic was at its minimal, the lowest. We had 3 traffic accidents in one day in that corridor. I was in that corridor with them too. And I witnessed the accidents in that corridor there too. So public work do these things silently. We don't make no noise. We don't get any praise. We don't look for any praise. We just do what we have to do. We actually, when it comes to emergency management, we are actually responsible for the damage assessment. We actually give the all clear. We actually are part of the team which actually goes to the island and give the all clear after a hurricane. Then we are one of the initial individuals, public works, who go out and start clearing the sites. We might ask contractors, heavy equipment operators to go out and assist here and there, but we will go out and still supervise them. So when everybody home in their bed are doing their own thing, taking care of themselves, we are taking care of the people's business. We are taking care of the government and the community at large. And we do these things in silence. We don't make no noise about it. We just go and do what we have to do. So we serve the community.
And that is where Public Works Week comes in, is that persons can be made aware and hopefully help to celebrate public works a bit more, because it touches all of us. Everyone, well, most everyone, we use the road, whether we're a passenger or we're driving. You know, that is an important part, of course, with the infrastructure here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have buildings, of course, we want to be safe in the buildings, because even if it's a private structure, they have to get approval to ensure that it's safe. And so public works is very vital. Now, activities that are taking place for the week, I recognize that there was a church service on the 16th, and also there was some food hampers that were given to retirees. It is something that is traditionally done, and it's a commendable one too. But I recognize that there is a health check that was held on the Tuesday, and also a health walk that's scheduled on Thursday. I wanted to stress the importance of that health aspect.
Okay. With public works, I see public works, or we see public work as a family, and we look out for each other. Now, every year, what we try to do generally, we try to encourage, most of our workers are men. And, you know, men don't really go to the doctor. So we actually let the doctor come to us. So for this year, the health check started yesterday, but it did not finish. So the doctors and nurses are there today again. What they're doing eye screening. So, as I said, men are not usually go to doctors, but the doctors are here to us. And we are taking the opportunity to actually take care of these services which they are providing on site to us. So we are looking out for our workers. We just don't have, let's say, just work, take a time out for our workers. In addition to that, too, we are having a health walk every Thursday. The public works team, those who are interested, they have a health walk, so they go for a health walk. And Thursday coming will be no different. There will be a health walk, and we expect more persons to join in to that health walk. So we're not only just there for just work you or to get your service out of you, but we are actually there for you in your low moments also, and we see each other as family.
And of course, these are preventative measures, identifying anything that may happen. And of course, walking, you know, being healthy would help to deal with any NCDs that may come up, that would be non-communicable diseases. Right. And there's also a bit of a fun day coming up also on the 21st, and Saturday there's a Nevis Lime as well too.
Yes, okay. So on Friday, you know, normally public works actually go out there and fix a road, they fix a school, they fix a bus pipe, they fix a toilet there, etc., etc. But Friday is our day. What we are going to do, we are going to clean up our surrounding. And then after we finish cleaning the surrounding, we'll have barbecue, which will bring us down into the afternoon. And then we will have a domino competition. And that's the Friday. The Saturday now, we call it a Nevis Lime. We go to Nevis and meet with our counterparts there. We have a very good relationship with the public works in Nevis. We are going to go over and spend some time with them and have fun with them.
All work and no play.
All work and no play.
Okay. So, of course, as you mentioned, Public Works falls under the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. Right. And the person who heads that ministry will be the Honorable Congress Maynard. Right. How has that relationship been? How is the leadership that he's given there?
Minister Maynard came on stream about 2 years ago. And I can say, I have found him to be very supportive. He understands the complexity of public works and what we are going through. Mr. Maynard has taken the opportunity to go on the road and say he wants to spend a day with the asphalt crew on the road, working with them. He said he wants to roll up his sleeve and be a part of it. So he wants to feel what we are feeling. Not that we come and explain to him what goes on, but he wants to experience it so he can actually know what we go through on a day-to-day basis.
And of course, his engineering background certainly helps there as well.
Very well, very well. Every Tuesday, he has a management meeting where he wants to know where we are, what we are doing, what assistance we require. And he keeps saying to us, tell me what you need. And he's there to give the support. And I must commend him at this stage for being there for us and to actually ensure that we get what we need to get the job done. Because of his involvement, we are in the process of procuring a new crushing plant for the quarry. We anticipate a boom in the construction industry shortly. And we want to position ourselves so that we can actually have rocks available for the construction industry. Because if we don't have it, it means the construction industry cannot boom.
Right.
All of these houses NHC plans to build cannot move off because we don't have the rocks to supply them with. So we anticipate the boom in the construction industry, in the private sector and in the public sector. So we are positioning ourselves, and the minister is working with us to position ourselves. We actually get permission to buy a secondary job which is another plan which actually crushes the rocks into smaller bits for use. We actually receive a new loader and equipment to be in the quarry. Currently, recently, we have to join our staff 2 new senior personnel, a project manager, a senior project manager, which we have never had, and also a quantity surveyor on staff too. We are hoping to get 4 new engineers joining the staff, complementing the staff. And I must give credit to the minister who has actually said, I want to see work done. I want to see performance. I want to see production. Tell me what you want. So we said we need more staff, and he said, well, I will get them to you, and I will deliver and expect you to deliver. So he's delivering, and we are just expecting to deliver. On the other side now, when it comes to the human aspect now, we are trying to provide training for the workers who are working with the equipment. Also in the quarry, the guys will do the blasting, but most of the guys there are doing blasting from the experience. Now we want to get somebody to professionally teach them the health and safety and exactly what to do, what to look for in the blasting. We have traffic lights around Basti, as we are aware. We're planning right now to send off an officer to be certified to manage and to operate the traffic lights. We have in a series of workshops within public or within the engineers. We call them CPDs, Continuous Professional Development, and we have plans to actually continue these professional development so as to raise the standard of our officers.
Very important, Mr. Gilbert, of course, and as St. Kitts and Nevis transitions to a sustainable level state, it's important that public works is there to help shine the light towards the way forward. So we'd like to thank you and the staff that you've done in doing such a tremendous job in helping to keep all of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis safe, whether it be through our buildings, through our roads, and what other ways. Of course, water is very important as well too. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We're out of time, Mr. Gilbert, so we'll have to leave it there. Of course, we'd like to have you back sometime. So as the capital projects continue to roll out, we can talk more about that. Right. So we'd like to thank you, viewers and listeners, for joining us for this edition of InFocus, which was set to join us next week at the same place at the same time. I'm Ian Richards.
Thank you.
Produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.